Well, are there really toxic fans, and are they impacting some of our favorite projects? Well, it seems like after all these years, the studios are finally taking notice of what's going on social media, and according to Variety, they've started to develop some plans to respond to some of these problems. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what these problems really are, how it could impact our favorite superhero projects, and ultimately if this is a good or a bad idea. Now, one of the greatest part about following superheroes is the longevity of the materials. A lot of this stuff stretches back over 50 years and really gives fans a sense of connection to these characters. Now, over the years, we've had lots of interpretations of various characters, and one thing that happened when we entered the social media age is you started to get, well, some pretty focused backlash. Now, there's a difference between backlash on a product people don't like and toxic fandom, and it seems like over the years these discussions have completely spiraled out of control. Now recently there was a new article from Variety, and even though the general perception for most of this is that studios don't pay much attention to fans, it turns out that's not the case anymore. Now, according to Variety, and I quote, "It comes with the territory, but it's gotten incredibly loud in the last couple of years. People are just out for blood regardless. They think the purity of the first version will never be replaced, or you've done something to upset the canon of a beloved franchise, and they're going to take you down for doing so." And goes on to talk a lot about how fans are very vocal, and if they don't like something, they will absolutely retaliate. In response to all this, Variety is suggesting that what the studios are going to do is create a group of superfans and use these superfans as kind of a filter to run these new projects through in order to figure out if they're setting themselves up for a lot of problems. Now, there's a couple of paths here, and I want to be very gentle because there's a big difference between people being critical of a product and fans just absolutely being toxic and in some cases racist and or misogynistic, which is often one of the accusations. Now, if you notice on this channel, we try to focus on the positive and we avoid a lot of these discussions. It's a very divisive topic, and often these things kind of spiral out of control and generate just negative vibes, which is something nobody really needs. But I want to address the validity of some of this and where I think the sweet spot will ultimately be. Now, let's be really clear. When studios and creatives make huge changes to establish characters, well, there was a reason fans love those characters. Their history, their presentation, and their stories were what fans became attached to. This is why they love the character. When you fundamentally alter a core element to a character, especially within their origin story, well, it fundamentally alters that character. Not only that, it definitely rubs against the grain where established fans have spent sometimes decades following the character, and to just throw that out the window, I completely understand people's frustration. Now, this falls quite short of just completely reimagining characters, which quite often does not work. Now, it works sometimes, to be fair. Look at Aqualad in Young Justice. Calderon is a great example of a very well-received reimagination of a character, and at this point, his version of Aqualad has kind of become the staple within DC Comics. Miles Morales is another example of a rebooted character and a reimagined character that completely worked with fans, and in both cases they worked for a particular reason. The story supported the change. Now, quite often when these changes are made, they're made at a creative level long before the product is developed, whether it's for the film or small screen. And by the time fans get a sense of these changes, well, the ship has sailed and it kind of becomes a little late to make any alterations, even though they know there is an impending backlash. One of the greatest examples of turning this around was Sonic the Hedgehog. When that first Sonic the Hedgehog trailer released, fans were outraged at how bad the CGI was. The studio apologized, took it back to the drawing board, and altered the character, ultimately generating a great franchise that's been well received by fans and is now about to get its third film. So there is some value in listening to what's going on. Now, the problem comes when you get into the toxic nature of some of these fans. And let's be clear, some of these people are very toxic. There are full-on contingents of fans here on YouTube, on Facebook, and on various other social media platforms that honestly just want to complain. Quite often, these have misogynistic or racist undertones, and sometimes even just overtones. So let's not beat around the bush in talking about how toxic those particular fans are and how there is no possible way to placate their position because it's based in something that's not logical. Now, what do the studios do here? Well, I highly suspect they are going to bring in some of these, quote, superfans and try to get some ideas of where they can adjust their products to get a better response from the general public. I think social media sometimes drives some of these responses, and there's a lot of bandwagoning. So if studios can help avoid the initial outcry, you might see fewer fans jump on the negative bandwagon and ultimately not watch or review bomb various products. It's also the studio's responsibility to deliver really good products. There has been occasions where they've handed us something that was absolutely subpar, and it did include some of these creative changes that rubbed against the grain of the history of the character or their franchise. Then when it doesn't work, people automatically assume it's because of one of these trollish reasons, often racism or sexism, when in reality the product just wasn't very good, and they're hiding behind this. Studios can't do this. They have to deliver a quality product, and when they do that, quite often, even when there's huge changes, people still accept it. So will this ultimately work? Well, at this point, I really don't know. Honestly, I think feeding the troll and even considering the troll is a huge mistake. Like I said, most people in certain corners of YouTube and various other social media, they just want to complain, and they're poking the bear on purpose. So no matter what alterations you make, they're going to continue down this process. I do think there's value in talking to people that do love the characters, do love their history, and understand what it needs to look like to connect with fans like themselves. This is a great idea. But I don't think it's an end-all be-all, but hopefully it helps the studios steer their products in directions that get received by the public a lot better. The fact that we live in an era where we have so much of our favorite genre of material being made is an absolute privilege, and people are forgetting that. If these projects don't make money, well, they'll stop making them. And honestly, I fear these fan backlashes and sometimes their impact on the box office, just look at the Marvels, well, that will cause some changes behind the scenes, and if we're not careful, we're going to allow the most toxic and trollish fans to completely ruin this genre and ultimately return us to the day where we got maybe 1 or 2 superhero films in a year, and it wouldn't be uncommon to go 2 or 3 years without seeing one. And I don't think that's what anybody wants. Now, I am curious on how you get on one of these super fan groups, and I'm going to throw my name out there now. If somebody from a studio reaches out to me, I'm all in. I like the idea of the creatives looking to the fans to see what they want. That's how you develop stuff that connects with those fans and gets them in seats. But I don't want them catering to the wrong people. I don't want them listening to people who will just troll no matter what. And honestly, I don't mind most of the modern day storytelling, so I don't want my future products stuck 50 years in the past. There's a balance here. We got to figure out how to reach it, and I don't think having the trolls sitting at the table will help it at all. But we're going to have to wait and see.